So here's the problem. Whenever we're out and about and I bring my camera with me, I'm constantly taking photos of my daughter and my family. But now my daughter has started to notice my camera and she wants to take photos, but I don't really want to give my 2-year-old this camera. So instead, I've gotten her this camera. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Zach. I'm a videographer and children's pastor, but more important than that, I'm a husband and a father. And today we're talking about the Camp Snap camera and whether or not this little camera is the perfect camera for you and for your family. And I'm gonna try and answer that in 3 sections. 1, what is this camera? 2, who's it for? And 3, why choose this over other cameras? But first, if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, I'd love if you hit that subscribe button. And if you end up liking this video, please do hit the thumbs up button. Now, in all honesty, I bought this camera with the question of, could this become a family's go-to camera? And my personal decision is no, for a couple of different reasons. And I'll get into it in a bit, but I do think that this is the perfect camera for kids, and maybe for your family, it can be the perfect camera as well. So what is the Camp Snap camera? And let me just say, I bought this camera myself. I was not sent this product. I have no connections with the company, but this is a screen-free digital camera. Now, those two things don't typically go together. Digital cameras usually always have a screen, but there is a reason for this, and I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about who this camera is for. This camera is kind of a throwback to the disposable cameras back in the day when we were kids, but the difference is when you go through 32 images, you don't have to just toss this out. As quality goes, this camera is an 8 megapixel camera with a very, very tiny sensor. There are only 2 buttons on the camera, one to turn the camera on and control the shutter, the other one to control the flash. So that means that everything else in this camera is all automatic. Your aperture, your ISO, your shutter speed, your white balance, you have no control over. It's all done automatically. It's got a fixed aperture of 3.2. Because of the small sensor and the wide lens, this means that pretty much everything is going to be in focus from about a foot or so out. And that's nice because then you don't really have to worry about focus, which is good because you can't control the focus. The ISO is limited to a range between 100 and 800. The shutter speed is also limited and ranges from 1/35th to 1/1500th. And the white balance seems to be a little bit on the cooler side, though I do think the company have some different firmware updates where you can change that and you can change like different JPEG settings. I think there's like a black and white one. I haven't tried any of them out, but that's a cool feature because I do think this runs a little cool when it comes to white balance. As for quality, this is made of a hard plastic, so it does feel durable, but at the same time, it also does feel cheap. There's a faux leather right here material, and that has a little bit of a different feel, different texture. That's nice. There is a little thumb pad here on the back. There's a speaker, and like I said, there are 2 buttons. The camera comes with a 4GB SD card, micro SD card that's built in. You can open this up and switch that out for a larger one if you want, but that does allow you to take somewhere up to 2,000 photos. It's got a speaker on the back that allows you to know when you've taken a photo. And really that's it. I mean, that's all that this camera is. It does come in, I think, 9 different colors, but it's a super simple, minimal camera. The one thing I do wish that this camera had was some sort of strap, some sort of way to attach a strap. There's nowhere to attach a strap to, and I think that would be really handy, especially for kids. And that takes me to the next section. Who is this camera for? Now, I mentioned earlier that there's a reason why this digital camera doesn't have a screen. And that's because it was made to specifically solve a problem for a family. So the family who created these cameras, they were sending their kids to camp during the summer, but the kids weren't allowed to have cameras with screens, pretty much no digital cameras. So kids would go off with the old school disposable cameras and take their 32, 36, whatever it was, images in the first day. And so the parents wanted to send their kids with something that had a little bit more room for images, but still retained that screenless feature. Hence, the screenless digital camera. Now, because of this, obviously their main intended audience is kids, and I think that shows. The design is reminiscent of a nicer looking old school disposable camera from back in the day. The simplicity of it, the minimalness of it, as well as the durability is all perfect for kids. It's great for kids, it's easy for them to use, it looks good, and it can be really, really fun. Now, because of these two things, the image quality and the disposable-like design, it's definitely brought in another audience and young adults. I'd venture to say that because of our generation being one that's a very nostalgic generation, this camera brings us right back to our childhood, which is nice because both of these audiences, the young adults and the kids, this camera serves a great purpose. It allows kids to have fun taking photos without having to experience, having an expensive camera that your parents are really scared of them breaking. I give this camera to my daughter and she loves it. She loves bringing it around, taking photos, and for every photo she takes, she probably drops it just as much. It's a very durable and simple camera. And I mean, if I trust my 2-year-old with it, if I know that she can work it, she can turn it on, she can, adjust the flash settings and actually look through it and take a photo, like that's awesome. At the same time, for young adults who are wanting a simple, minimalistic, nostalgic camera, this hits those boxes as well. And that leads me to my third section, why I'd buy this for my kids instead of other cameras. First off, it's simple, it's minimal, it's durable, and it's kind of aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it looks good. And it does have a pretty decent battery life, and you can take up to 2,000 photos with the SD card provided. It's extremely simple for my 2-year-old daughter to use, and it's relatively cheap, coming in just around $65 at the time of recording this video. I know that if my daughter finds a way to actually break this or lose it, which is more likely, I won't be all that upset. But it does allow her to have an entry point into photography, and that's what I love. The most important thing to me is that it resembles a disposable camera, and that's what I started with as a kid. And so in a way, my kid is getting to start photography in the same place that I did, just with a little bit of a modern twist to it. So this camera, it will not be replacing my Fujifilm X100F. I'll stick to that for all of my family needs. But this is the perfect camera to give to my daughter, and she absolutely loves it. And so if you're wanting to get your kids into photography, if you're wanting to give them something that's simple and minimal and aesthetically pleasing, I'd highly recommend the CamSnap camera. Again, you're not gonna get the best photos out of it, but that's not what you're looking for here. You're not trying to find a camera that's gonna give you the best quality photos. If you want that, then pick something else. If you want a camera that will allow your kids to have fun and kind of find an entry point into photography, I think this is the camera for your family. So that's it for me and the CamSnap camera. If you have any questions about this, hit me up in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you want to see more content, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. That was awkward. That ending wasn't good. I didn't like it. Oh well.